Good evening, everyone. Okay, so you're probably wondering why I came in with Anita. Not only Anita, can you all hear me okay? Can you hear me okay? Not only did I come in with Anita, yes I do, youngin. Not only did I come in Anita, but I came in with no one to blame. I don't know if you youngins were listening to the words of this song, but basically she's saying, it's no one to blame, basically her. If I missed this, it sure would be a shame. No one to blame but me. This ain't a game that I'm playing. My thing is for real. I want you to know it's strong. You know how I feel. Okay? Okay. That's why I brought in with Anita, because she said no one to blame. It sure would be a crying shame if I can't call your name in the midnight hour. What? That is why I came in with Anita, because ladies, I'm talking to all, everybody in generally, but women specifically, we play ourselves. And then we have no one to blame when we don't get the results we want. Okay? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Got my hair did today. so no caps literally for a couple of days. But I was thinking about, I wasn't even planning to do anything tonight because I didn't have a guest. I didn't plan properly. So I really wasn't going to have do anything. But last night, shout out to Lauren and Lucky. They had me on their show last night. And when they did, Lauren indicated that one of the reasons, hold one moment for me, please, indicated that the live that I did on Saturday regarding, playing ourselves. Hold on. Playing ourselves inspired her to do their live. So during the live yesterday, it was a really good conversation. So again, shout out to Lucky and Lauren, but again, shout out to Jonathan Barronville, because he called in. Hello, hello, hello. You better understand. I'm trying to grow these youngins. I'm trying to grow them. I'm trying to grow them to the words that are in the songs. And let me tell you something. I digress. But I must tell you, I'm a little hot. Might need to get my fan. I told you that when me and my husband started dating, and it was clear that, we liked each other and we were moving in that forward direction, I think this may have been the first song I sent out to him on the road. Yeah. I sent my babe some love songs, and that started it. Hey, I ain't no fool. No one to blame. If I missed it, it sure would be a shame. Okay? So yeah, I sent that love song out to him while he was on the road. Sure did. And I'm Mrs. Randolph right now. I'm just saying. But anyway, yesterday we're talking to Jonathan Barronville when he called into the show, and he was talking about the challenges that this younger generation, millennials and zennials, have when it comes to dating. And I was asking him, I said, well, how are you vetting these young ladies? I mean, do you even know if they're worth your time before you invite them out? Are you having some conversations? Yes, hit the like button, please. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Do you even know that if they're worth your time to even invite them out on a date? Well, he talked about, and Jonathan, if you come in, I want you to, call in, because you can tell your story better than I can tell it. But But he said, maybe some, light chit chat because he meets them out and stuff like that. Some light chit chat or, some texting. And I said, you all need to start actually having real conversations with people. I told him that, when me and my husband started dating, we talked on the phone for hours to get to know each other, to even before we had that first date, to see if we even had anything worth investigating to go out on a date with. Y'all need to do that. Let me pull up my notes. Okay. So again, I wanted to kind of go back into this. I talked to, for those of you who did not catch my live on Saturday, I shared about a friend of mine who had recently started dating a gentleman. She's in my age group, but she felt like, and I'm paraphrasing, that she could not tell if he was, into her. Exactly, Rilla. Exactly. Exactly. She said that she couldn't tell that if he was into her. They had really good conversations. They'd gone out on a date. They had coffee. He had given her a book to read, the 5 love languages, so forth and so on. But because he had already disclosed that, he wanted to go slow because he had some, bad relationships. We all have. Well, sometimes we women, we want to move a little bit too fast. Sometimes men too, but I'm talking from a woman's perspective because I am one. Because he wasn't moving in the way that she thought, she said she couldn't tell if he was into her. So she voluntarily lied and said, I'm seeing someone else. Thank you. Thank you. So, and I said, why did you do that? I said, why did you volunteer a lie? So now we have no one to blame. And again, I shared that story because it's not to come from a place of judgment, because I did it too. In my younger years, we can't do the same things in our younger years we can't do that, because if it worked, we will be married. We will be where we want it to be. So obviously those kinds of things don't work. I did. All right. Exactly. It, congratulations in advance. Happy anniversary in advance. Listen, youngins, y'all need to get a hold of some real music and quit playing around here. Ladies, get a hold of some real music. Play it for your love interest. Men, if you're trying to woo a young lady, you better go off into some vaults and show her that you have some depth. And I know things have, I'm not the oracle. I know things have changed, but certain things remain, honey. I'm going to tell you that because, again, I go back to my son in love. Him and Danielle, they play music. I go over to their house sometime and I'm like, what y'all listening to? They playing some of my music. I'm like, okay. So that's what I'm saying. Okay, so let's talk about it for a second, shall we? Playing ourselves. I shared about my friend. I told her, that she shouldn't have done that. I explained to her that the gentleman, even though he was moving a little slow for her, I asked her, I said, moving fast hadn't got you what you wanted, right? It hadn't got me what I wanted. She said, I was right. I had to grow her. I said, listen. And again, I checked with Mr. Randolph after I, scolded her a little bit to make sure I wasn't off course. I said, if a man gives you something of his to read or anything, that signifies he plans on seeing you again. Okay? That means he plans on seeing you again. So that was my take on it. And when I asked Mr. Randolph, he said I was absolutely right. Hey, lovely. So, in that instance, no one to blame. No one to blame. And she did take my advice and she reached out to him, but I don't think she's heard from him anymore because, again, a lot of time, and Uncle Stu, you mentioned that when I did that on Saturday, that even if she reached out to apologize, it was probably too late. And I think it probably was. And my husband said the same thing because it's almost as if a man would think there's some manipulation going on, and then that would be a red flag early on. So listen, ladies, I know it's tough. Going back to the song, life offers no prize, no guarantees, only the missed opportunities of love. What? I wasn't playing that song just because it sounds good. I was playing it because it goes to the heart of what I'm trying to tell y'all. No guarantees, only the missed opportunities of love will let you walk by. Hey, y'all better get a hold of that. Okay? Let's move on. Mr. Barronville, he talked about we're talking when he called into the show yesterday. He was talking about, again, ladies, the young ladies that he's meeting, they want you to already be established, have this idea of the six figures already. Ladies, I think that's kind of unrealistic, especially if you're in your 20s, maybe 30s. I know money is coming pretty quickly, I think, but if you lead with that, that's kind of a turnoff, and I can understand that too. Can you get to know somebody first before you start writing them off, before you start sizing up their wallets, before you start spending their money for them? Let me tell you something. Excuse me. When I was on active duty, I remember, my soldier would say, LT, you can afford that. You're an officer. You make big money. I said, quit spending my money for me. Get out of my pockets. I would tell my troops, quit spending my money for me. Men, same thing. Quit spending their money. Can you get to know them first? I told JB, I said, your wife may not be in Atlanta, honey. I got a niece in Oklahoma. But seriously, but he also talked about how women in Atlanta, they're highly educated and they're very proud of that. And as they should be. But where we make a mistake, and I say we because in my earlier years, I made the same one. We lead with it. I do this. Yes, I have a master's degree in so and so and so and so. No one cares. No one cares. No. And you couldn't have convinced me of that in my 20s because, again, I was proud of it. As I should. It's an accomplishment. But men, just like you shouldn't lead with your wallets, I'm just saying, because if you lead with your wallets, don't be surprised what you get. All right? Ladies, you shouldn't lead with your education and your accomplishments. They don't care. They don't. It's a turnoff. Please don't lead about everything that you do, that you've done, that you possess, the accomplishments you've made. They don't care. I'm sorry. They don't. I'm not coming to you from a place of getting it right. No, I'm coming from a place that I got it wrong. Because I'm going to tell you something. Had I not learned, I probably wouldn't be married right now. And I can even go as far to tell you the relationship that I shared with you that was a very bad relationship for me, the things that I did wrong in it, I led with who I was. I was, executive leadership in the federal government. I'd done this, that, and the other. I have this. So in as much as I wasn't trying to be that way. That's what I led with. And that individual made it a point to knock me down every step of the way. Yeah. I'm not saying that happens all the time, because it doesn't. Most times people, the guy will just walk in the opposite direction. Back in the day growing up, people used to call that being stuck up. Were my old heads. Then going back to Jonathan, he talked about too that he'll be out on a date with a young woman. She's on her phone. Quit it. Quit it. That she's on the phone snapping the food. Listen, young people. I know it's hard to believe. I know, listen carefully. I know it's hard to believe, but we actually had fun before there were cell phones. We did. Before there were camera phones, we actually had fun. We talked to each other. We laughed. We took pictures, at the events, but we enjoyed the events. We were in the moment. Okay? We enjoyed concerts, singing the songs. We laughed and, danced with each other. We did all that. I know it's a far-fetched idea, but we actually did have a good time before there were camera phones, before there was social media. We actually talked in the same room to each other. Okay. How about that? Yes. Mm-hmm. Oh. Mm. Going back to that Brittany Renner interview that Kevin did when he asked her, what does she see for herself at 60? And she said, that's a good question. I wasn't thinking about that. I said that before. I wasn't thinking about that at 29, but keep living. And I had to get the revelation that with all the things I'd accomplished in my life, or as my military career and even federal civil service, the greatest accomplishment was being a mother. Because of course I wasn't married at the time. Now the greatest achievement is being a wife, mother, grandmother, daughter. My parents are still living, friends, relationships. That is the greatest thing. And I have somebody that I can grow old with, God willing. So again, that's why I started the broadcast. No one to blame. Shout out to Anita Baker. If I missed it, it sure would be a shame. I wasn't trying to miss it. So again, like I said, Rilla, what did it say? Shout out to the Polaroids. Yeah. Okay. That's it, to capture the memory, not a photo journal. And I'm gonna go ahead and keep it one. Shout out to Chicago Real. I'm gonna keep it 1,000. Wow. A lot of y'all are doing that because y'all trying to get famous. That's what you want to go viral. Again, I'm speaking to the women. You're playing yourself. Because if a man sits and tells you or asks you to put your phone away, that's a problem. And I suggested to Jonathan and all you other youngins, when you're meeting these men and women, when you're having these conversations and you decide to go out on a date, let's say, let's have an agreement. Can we agree that when we go out, we're going to enjoy the moment? We're going to enjoy the moment. We're not going to take our cameras out. We're going to talk to each other. How about that? And I said, why don't you do that? Because here's another thing, ladies and gentlemen. If they can't do that, that's a signal to you that they ain't it. They ain't it. Yeah. Fake validation. And a young man, I had to get me a new phone today. I know y'all be laughing at me, but I had an iPhone 6. Shut up. And it started to get hot. So I said, and it wasn't being charged. So I said, I might need to get me a new phone. So I went to the T-Mobile store, I got an iPhone 12 now. Okay. So, so I was talking to the young man, 26-year-old young man. I don't know. We were just talking about stuff because, it takes a while to load your information. And we start talking about dating because because he saw the pictures of my granddaughter, my, daughter, et cetera, et cetera. So we started talking about that. He had kids and we started talking about dating. And lo and behold, he told me, I forget how we got there, but he told me that he wasn't with his daughter's mother because they started moving in a different direction. One of the things he said that she wouldn't be in the moment. That's one of the things that they had trouble with because she always wanted to snap pictures and, videotape. And she's always like, can you put your phone away? That's largely what prompted me to do this video because Jonathan had just said it last night. And this young man that I don't even know, a young Hispanic gentleman. So this transcends races. Okay. Said the same thing. Ladies, we are playing ourselves. Put that phone up. Do you even know how to have a conversation? Do you know how to have a conversation? Here's another thing. Do you know how to have a conversation without talking about everything you've accomplished? Ooh, that's a big one. How about that? How about that? Thank you, sweetheart. Okay, I know. And when I took it in there, he said, well, there was a recall of this banner. I said, oh, it was? So good thing I didn't want to blow up on me. So can you have a conversation without talking about the things you've accomplished, your education? I'd like to do some role play. If we have time, we might do that. Because again, when me and my honey met, we talked about just stuff because here's another thing, ladies. I wanted to know what he did. Yeah. I didn't talk about the stuff that I did. I wanted to talk about what he did. All right. Asked him questions about his work. We still do. I have told y'all once, I told you again. Now I am retired now, but I'm going to tell you for the 3 years that we've been together up until October, my husband never knew how much I made. And it's public knowledge. I worked for the federal government, so you could look it up if you knew my my grade. But he never knew, never cared. We talked about potential last night on their show. Ladies, if you're looking for a man in his early to mid 30s and you expect him to have it all figured out and you don't want to invest in the potential that he has shown you, you're playing yourselves. What do you mean by that, TJ? I'm going to tell you. I'm glad you asked. I talked about my son-in-law. This deck, I'm sure. Okay. I talked about my son-in-law that
When him and my daughter started dating, he worked at the post office and he had another job working at the hospital because he was majored in kinesiology. When I invited him to dinner, for Christmas dinner, that was the first year they had dated, he told me he wasn't sure if he could make it because he had to work both of his jobs on Christmas Day. Not one, but both. That was key. Because he was about business. He was a young man, 24, had just graduated from college, still trying to figure out his thing, what he wanted to do, but he had a work ethic because he saw that in his father. He worked a job he didn't even like for over a year. And then he got with my daughter. And I say to this day, Crimson Cure did a live today. Shout out to Crimson Cure, talking about the man's influence. That is constant. And it is constant because my daughter was kind of floundering, job hopping. I kept asking her, stop that. You're not building a good work history. You're sending the wrong message. When she got with Kevon, she saw his work ethic, saw how he was putting in the work in a job he didn't like because he did what he had to do until he could do what he wanted to do. He had an influence on my daughter, and her whole outlook on changing jobs and having a stable work history changed through his leadership. Potential. She saw his potential. She saw his work ethic. And again, it's the ability, the motivation to do what needs to be done. Or she would have missed out and it would have been no one to blame. It sure would be a shame if I missed it. She didn't miss it. Hallelujah. And I got my son-in-law, my Nick Jr. Potential. Ladies, if you think that the man is going to have it, there are anomalies, because entrepreneurship is real and you all have so many ideas and you can make lots of money, but don't go into it with that. See what they're about. See, we do have a work ethic. And I was talking about the fact, at least 10 of my girlfriends from college met their husbands in college, and you ain't got nothing going on in college but potential. You heard me? But they saw it in them. They all been married over 20 years. Stop the madness. Quit playing. But you in your 30s want to say, well, he need to be financially secure. Really? Are you? Should he be financially secure or financially minded to have a plan, a work ethic? You better tell him. You better tell him. No one to blame. You better tell him. And here's the thing. Watching my daughter and she said when they got together, because that was the time me and my daughter weren't really speaking at that time. I didn't even know where she lived. She was mad at me. She didn't have a job. They weren't married. He was taking care of her then. What? He showed her what he was about. You're right, M. Mills. Work ethic and character. He will provide for. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Thank you. Thanks, Uncle Stu. So you know what? I'm not going to ramble. I'm going to just go ahead and drop the link and we're going to have some conversations up in here. Let's see what I got here. Yeah, we just gonna have shoot. Why not? Just have, we're gonna have a conversation and have some, chop it up a bit and tell me what you think. I need a college woman with a big okay. Okay. I'm gonna just go ahead and drop the link and we're gonna have some conversations. You know, because like I said, I wasn't gonna really talk about it, but when the young, Jonathan mentioned it last night, and then the young man at T-Mobile, I'm like, ladies, ladies, don't do it the way I did it. Don't do it the way I did it. Thank you. And part of this radiance is Mr. Randolph, honey. I swear it. I swear it is. Because here, going back to the conversation, when you're having when you're talking, you're laughing. We crack jokes on each other all the time. And it's funny because my daughter and son-in-law, they crack jokes on each other all the time. But we got to learn each other's quirks and, pettiness and all that kind of stuff. And we are friends. We don't text. And here's the thing too, youngins. When you reach out and start getting to know people, set the standard, set the ground rules. Me and my honey had the ground rules straight out the bat. Maybe a morning text, but we're not going to have no full-fledged conversations via text. No, we're not doing that. Good evening, sir. We're not having a conversation via text. We're going to talk like grown folks do. We are best friends. Thank you, sweetheart. And we, so, somebody come on up and tell me what your thoughts are again. Because I was really led to talk to you about that. And again, I need a favor from you guys. Get the likes up one, but that's not it. I am so thankful. Do you guys know I have 816 subscribers? Thank you. I thank you for that. I thank you for that. I do. But I'm going to ask you a favor. For Christmas, I would like to have 1,000 subscribers. So if you could share my channel, my content to anybody you think that might be able to help, that this message or my message can help some young women and men, please share it with them. You know what? I am. He melts my butter. He does. And I want y'all to experience this. If that's what you want. Woo! I want y'all to experience it. If this is what you want. And listen, it's not all, sunshine and rainbows. But it's worth it. It's worth it. Ladies, take the risk. Take off the facade. Peel off the layers. Who are you underneath this stuff? Can you have a conversation with his friends, his family? Can you communicate with your man? Enable him to communicate with you. Can you do it? You show right. And here's the thing. They will show you, Men and women will show you. Don't rush it, but they will show you. They will show you. Shout out, Lovely. I was talking about your show last night. That's why I was prompted to talk about this, because what Jonathan said about the ladies, you know, and the phones, the phones on dates, taking pictures. And I met a young man today at the T-Mobile store who said the same thing. We need to live in the moment, people. I showed y'all pictures of me over the years. Like Rilla said, it was to capture the memory, not a photo journal. Because I look back, here's another thing to consider. While y'all got y'all cameras out, taking pictures of concert, you ain't heard the music. You ain't really enjoyed the food, the fellowship. Every picture I showed you, I explained what was going on in it, didn't I? If not all, most of them. Because I remember that. I remember the experiences. I don't remember what I ate. Who cares? I mean, really. I'm sure it was good. But I remember the interaction. Yes. So that's what y'all need to get back to. And here's another thing. When we have family gatherings, like we're going to have the tree trimming next month over Danielle, they're hosting it. But when we have family dinner here at Papa and Gigi's house, I have a little bird cage, decorated bird cage. Everybody puts their cell phone in the bird cage when you enter the house. Yeah. Yeah, you put your cellular device in the bird cage, and that's where it stays during family time, because we're having dinner, we're having conversations with each other, we're laughing, we're joking, we're playing games, we're cooking together. You get your device back when you leave. Those are the rules. Anybody gonna come up? Ain't nobody coming up. Nobody want to talk. Nobody want to talk. Lauren, I was telling him, I said, we ladies, sometimes we're misguided. We lead with our education. We shouldn't do that, because no one cares. All they care about is, can we have a conversation? Do we have some intelligence to be able to articulate? Because, see, intelligence is not indicative of a degree. It's not. Because there are many an educated fool. I'm just going to leave that right there. But I want us to stop playing ourselves, ladies. I want us to stop playing ourselves. Lauren, Melissa in the house. Lady.
Hey.
Hello.
How are you?
Good.
Man, so yeah, I have been doing a lot of thinking about the conversation from yesterday, and just that whole thing. I'm planning to go out of town tomorrow, and I was just thinking, like, I want to vlog, but then I don't, because I just want to, like, enjoy myself. And the last time I went out of town, that's what I did. I just enjoyed myself. Nobody really knew I was out of town unless they, spoke to me personally. And that's the way I usually like it, is like not being in phones. But yeah, I think I get annoyed when I go places and they have to take a picture of everything, the entrance, the food, and if it's a nice ambiance, then that's a different story.
Right.
Right? Take one picture and then live in the moment. But this whole, once the waiter come out, I gotta get the waiter bring my food out. Like, I cannot stand it. I hate it. So it's something about this generation, and I'm a millennial, but like, even what is it, Gen Z or whatever's after it?
Millennials, yeah.
Yes, they grew up on a phone, right? You look at babies now, that's all they know. And so if you were to take away a tablet, a phone, or anything, it's like my life is over. And so much of people's lives are on social media that it's like if I don't post it, it didn't happen. And especially when it comes to relationships, you look at it now, we know too much about everybody's relationship, marital status, what's going on, whose baby daddy is who, where the baby mama at. It's just you can, between Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, you can piece together a whole story and find the origin. Like detectives' jobs are so much easier now.
Okay.
Because we literally timestamp everything. They can map out the place, time, and where based on photos. And yeah, it's just very
And people are,
interesting.
I'm just going to say it's stupid because before you got on, I said, believe it or not, we actually had fun before there were cell phones, before there were camera phones. We actually really had fun. We, and actually to me it was better because I'm like, there's no proof of what I did.
Okay. Listen, I think, and that's very telling, right? My mom said something was like, people don't know you're a hoe unless, you either tell them or they got proof. So half the people, like this whole narrative of like women sleeping around, people either know because you're telling them or people talking, or you've documented, you got pictures and videos to prove it.
And that's the stupidest thing I'm like, y'all. Yeah. And it's funny because you said if you don't document it didn't happen. I'm like, okay.
Well, to the social media world, if you ain't put it out there, you wasn't at that game, you ain't go to that concert, and it's like, okay, like if I don't have a picture, it is what it is. So yeah, right.
Hello, I lost somebody. I lost Lauren. I lost Lauren. I had struggle streaming. Lauren, if you get a chance, come back, babe. Hey, Stu.
Hey, I just want to tell you your story. I seen the last live, um, this one, and just to let you know, you inspired somebody, and I'm proud to say. Brown Eyes said when she's ready to come out, she's coming on your platform to come out and to
Oh,
have
thank
that
you.
conversation. Um, because she said women need to know and they need to understand, and that submission is beautiful. She's all that she's gone through. She ain't had to worry about nothing,
And that's the way
nothing.
it should be.
And we took care of everything between me and her father. All we told her was, "You choose, you make all the decisions. Don't you worry about nothing else." And she's going through beautifully. So she just want to just send out her love to you, to a whole lot of YouTubers, but to you, you have really helped her, guided her, loved on her, and she's really honored. So, I said, well, you got to stop playing in the back scene. You're a YouTuber now, so when she's ready, it is your platform that she's going to come out on. So,
Let me know. Shout out to Crimson Cure. I was just talking about you, young lady. I was literally just talking about your live that you did today about the influence of men, how everywhere.
mhm.
And I was actually comparing that to my son-in-law, how he influenced my daughter just by his leadership and his work ethic, how it inspired her to make some changes when she was, going from job to job to job right out of college. So yes, the male influence and leadership is key, but we have to be influenced by the right male leadership. But you show right, you let it be known today, young lady. You sure did.
That's right. Assalamu alaikum, Crimson Cure. She's 100%. This is the first. She after we done all that we done. Let me tell you what she said. Her sister and her niece wanted to have a girls' night,
Mm-hmm.
They thought they was going to send me to a hotel. She said, that's the head of household. He runs everything. Ain't
Yeah.
no way in the world. He ain't no weak man. He leads this house. And I don't have a problem being under that leadership.
Like I said, ladies, I want you all to experience this. Experience it.
Let me I'll be glad to testify. Um
I'm gonna need to bring up somebody else. So go ahead, Stu.
okay,
Because
real
somebody else is waiting.
quickly. My fiance lost her oldest son on Veterans Day. No insurance, no financial help. I refused any money, and me and her father paid for everything. All she had to do was pick out the casket, pick out everything she wanted, including the plot. And once she picked it out, we told her step out the room, and we paid for everything. She ain't made to worry. We the heads. We run this. Period.
And I'm gonna tell you something, ladies. Crimson was talking about today how people look like, or people act like submission is a 4-letter word. It's not. It's not. I've said it before, and even my daughter, who's 27, has said it. It is actually freedom.
Yes.
Freedom.
Yes.
So, like Anita said, if you're not getting a hold of this, no one to blame. If you miss it, it sure would be a shame.
Mm-hmm.
That is why I started the broadcast with Anita Baker, because I missed many opportunities, but thank God for the final one.
Mm-hmm.
Got me mine. Got me mine.
And you know
Uncle
how much
Stone, go
you
ahead.
have touched her. If those people in the chat don't know the real, she loved it when Crimson Cure was on my platform. And you have spoken to a person, you know she loves you. So, if any, like they say, everybody got to have a witness. You the witness. So if everybody don't know her and Uncle Stu, you know her. So,
Brittany spoke a word. Get out of the way.
right.
Moreover, get out of your own way.
Many women has been in the way of me being the man in their life. And she said, I thank every woman that when she heard your husband speak and she heard tropical husband speak, and she looked at me, I said, they in one state, he's in another state, we in this state, we all talking the same thing, and I don't talk to them men. So we got a national problem on our hands.
And again, like I was talking about the young man at T-Mobile today, he was a Hispanic man. So it transcends the races. He's a young 26-year-old wanting the same thing. That's why him and his daughter's mother, one of the reasons, because one, he was trying to lead. She didn't want to lead, maybe led, all this kind of stuff. And again, not being in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Not being in the moment with him and their daughter. Want to, Snapchat and all that crazy foolishness.
But if you got people in the back, I'm going to let those people come up. I just wanted to speak on her behalf to you because she told me to get up here. That's twice she done made me get up on your platform. So I can submit
she had to make you that much. Come on now, quit playing. You ain't... I know.
I'm gonna show up one way or another. Me and you go down like that.
Yeah. Thank you, Crimson. I put it. It's streaming now, and thank you for your support, sweetheart. Let me go ahead and get Simon up here. He's been waiting patiently, and I'm gonna go ahead and talk to you later. All right.
Okay. Thank you. Speak to you later.
Bye-bye. Simon, you're muted, honey. You're muted.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. How you doing?
How you doing, babe? You all right?
I'm good. I'm
I'll
good.
call you babe because you look like a 16-year-old. Um,
I'll take it. Thank you.
yeah, you should because you do. Topic is how we play ourselves, right?
Yes, sir.
So I was just asking, like, you put a bit more context on that?
Well, I did a show on Saturday, and I shared a story with my friend about my friend who was dating a guy. They had just started dating, but she thought he was moving a little bit too slow, and she thought that he didn't really like her. So instead of allowing it to play out, she called him and said, I'm just gonna, I've started seeing somebody else. And she hadn't started seeing someone else, but she felt like, let me go ahead and back out before he backs out. And we don't even know if he was going to back out. And the thing that I said, we play ourselves because she really liked him. He seemed like he liked her. They had a lot in common. They, had mutual interest. They went to the same church. A lot of things were in common, but and it really boils down to insecurity. She said, basically, let me get out before, and not giving it a chance. And not only not giving it a chance, but playing games by saying that I'm seeing somebody else when you hadn't.
So
And when I
so
say play
like
ourselves, you self-sabotage.
so is that like a common thing, like in terms of what you're seeing out there, in
Well,
particular with like either like women your age or like women like maybe your daughter's age?
I think it's something, and I talked about it because I did those kind of things when I was younger. I don't know if it's a common thing because I'm not out there like that, but I do know that I had done things like that. But again, when you get older and you've made your share of mistakes, and I said to her, if you want something different, you have to do something different. And I understood that because in past relationships, I would go really fast and it didn't get me what I wanted. And I went really fast because I was trying to lead it instead of letting the man lead it. And so,
So
yeah,
so like in terms of like playing yourself, what would you say that is like?
it's just afraid. Playing yourself basically means you're sabotaging your chances for the love you say you want.
And would you, I don't know, like a lot of females I've experienced from that reaction or your response, I would say pretty common.
Okay.
Is that something prominent in the black community?
I really can't say. Like I said, I'm not out there like that. But what I can say is this. I can say, because I've been one of those women, I can say that we women, particularly black women, we lead with our education. That is a part of self-sabotage because men don't care. We lead with what we've accomplished. That's a self-sabotage because men don't care. We lead with a lot of I statements. That's problematic because men don't care. Instead of so um
Oh, I'm going to
so
say
that's what
next.
I'm talking
Yeah.
about.
Why do you say men don't care?
Well, they don't care in the sense of it's a nice accomplishment to have, but again, when we're talking about coming together as a couple, that's not a determining factor. And I used to think that that was a marketing plus, that I was able to do this and I was able to do that. It's not a bad thing, but to lead with that is like, that's, who am I apart from my education? Who am I apart from my profession? Who am I as a woman? That's what men care about.
So
That's
do
what
you
they
think
care about.
women, do you think, not you personally, do you think generally women do not think men care, so therefore they go into relationships in that sort of stance that men don't care?
No,
So
I think they
therefore
do. I
I
think
have to
they do
back
care.
myself up.
I think they do. I think they think men do care because if not, they wouldn't lead with I'm this and I'm that. So they think it's important. They think it's important to the men. And I'm not saying it's not important, because I'm very proud of what I've accomplished as far as my education and my career. But when I think of the confines of my relationship with my husband, neither my degree or my profession has anything to do with how we blend together as a couple.
Do you think it might be the fact that women take a while to figure out that men do care or might care?
Well, men,
And they sit
about what though?
in their stance to an extent, and then figure it out, and then they get to a point where it's like men care, because
Well,
men
we
do care.
we as
Obviously,
women have,
if men
huh? I'm
if
sorry, go
if
ahead.
if you if you're saying men care at some point and women figure this out later on, then maybe it's a fact that women care later on and men are waiting on them to figure it out.
Well, when you say men care, men men do care, but it's we as women have to figure what they care about. And that's the problem. That's the disconnect. They care, but the things that we as women think that they care about or think that they should care about, they really don't. And I
So
think
let's
that's what I'm
say
talking about.
let's say let's I don't want to take up too much of your time, but on a quick note, let's say
Mhm.
like we went on a date, right?
Mhm.
First date. I'm trying to figure out how much you care. When
About you as an
I
individual.
just generally, like in terms of having like a relationship, a genuine relationship. I'm in
Mhm.
it because I've thought about it for like, let's say, years. Um,
Mhm.
you might be seeing or dating a couple of people, but because of the realm of the woman, like the realm of the woman is you get that attention, you get, men at you, and you have to make those choices and decisions about, you know, your options. So for men, a lot of the time, it's like a singular thing. It's like I'm going into this, so I'm throwing everything at it.
Hmm.
That's why the decision process is more short term initially, and then until you understand that that woman's invested, it becomes long term. So when you turn around and exhibit to me that it's something that's worthy, that's investing in, then I go, okay. But a lot of the time, it doesn't happen. It's like because you got so much options. Um, so it's really about how what I'm trying to sort of, not personally, but
Mhm.
probably a lot of the young guys out there are trying to figure out is how do we get around that? How do we sort of tap into that? And I guess a lot of the conversations going on now is very worthy because that's great. But experience doesn't provide you with that, content really, and it doesn't allow for you to sort of make proactive decisions about your whole life. Um,
Well, I think that's one of the things too that we can get in our way with. Sometimes we overthink stuff, and I think it helps to come to each situation in that situation and not think about all the situations prior and bring our genuine selves. And what I mean by that, when I think about me as a younger person, there was always a part of me um, that I held back. Well, if I'm holding something back, but then I expect them to be all in, that's not going to work. So we both have to be our full, genuine selves. And sometimes it may not work out, but we know that we both gave our full effort and not holding back. And I think that's where, and it kind of like the song that I was starting with, life offers no guarantees. It doesn't, because there was no guarantee that I would find the love of my life at 52. There was none. After many a relationships I've been, there was no guarantee, only missed opportunities. And I had to decide that I was not going to miss another opportunity. I'm grateful that it worked out, but I never would have known had I not put my genuine self out there. We talked about what we both wanted. We happened to be on the same page and wanted the same things. So it's a risk. But what I'm saying is, to women specifically, I'm not saying that I'm the all-knowing, because I'm not, but I'm saying women specifically, there are some things that we can do to better our chances. Better our chances are take the focus off of ourselves and put it on the person that we say that we're interested in. Take the focus off of what our education, all the things that we've accomplished, and find out about the other person. Because the truth of the matter, like I said, I have a couple of degrees. I have all these accolades in the military, but not a one of those things has anything to do with how me and my husband interact with each other on a daily basis. Not one. The only thing, if any, my husband knows, because I had a work ethic and I'm resourceful, that when he was sick, I was going to handle the business. But other than that, that's all he knew. And that's what it amounts to. And I'm going to have to drop you off because I got somebody else waiting, sweetheart.
Yeah, I love you. Take care. Peace.
Okay, babe. Take care. Bye-bye. Yes, sir. How are you doing?
Hey, Auntie, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah, I see you on here putting in this work as usual.
I'm trying. Why you say this is the scariest show you have done? You got to tell me about that. You got to explain.
Yeah,
Okay.
what do that mean? What do that mean?
So, what do you think?
No, I was puzzled by what he just posted. What did he mean by that?
Oh, I don't know. He'll chime, but I'm talking about what do you think about
Oh,
what we're doing?
well,
Our conversation so far.
well, I'm glad you continued it. It's definitely something that need to be probably even continued on past this show, because this is something that is very repetitive in man to woman interactions. A lot of people have problems with interacting with each other, as far as just regular dating, regular conversations, communication, even down to the phone situation. That's just one thing. And that's actually a consistent problem. Females actually are consumed by taking pictures, posting it on social media, and, creating this facade to present to the world for people to look at them, to basically come into that world to see what they're doing. And it becomes problematic because when you're interacting with somebody, let's say you're on a date, you're supposed to be there for them.
Right.
And that's the problem with people. I guess this entitlement era we in. Like, we think that we don't have to bring nothing when we're coming. We're supposed to bring ourselves to the other individual instead of expecting what we can get from them. And
Yes.
go ahead. What you was about to say?
No, I said yes. You're right.
You spoke about genuity. That is definitely a lost attribute of individuals, as well as authenticity. We really got to come to each other in good faith. Like, stop wasting each other time. And as long as we're honest and present to each other what we're actually here for, things usually come out, work itself out. Just like you stated the other day, when you was interacting with, I think the individual before your husband, you said you was honest with him about, where y'all was at and that how things was going. It wasn't working. You wasn't ignorant. You wasn't disrespectful. You was genuine. And I'm pretty sure he respected you for that. I'm pretty sure he enjoyed your time. And like you said, what happened? You grew from that and you found the one. You see how everything works out when you do it decently?
Yeah.
And that's the problem. We don't handle it in that manner. And we have a lot of maturation to go through. And thank the Lord we have you, because you're helping us with these things. So,
well, like I said, I want to help where I can, and I hope that those who want it can find it. Because I have to be honest, one day I'm gonna have one of my best girlfriends on here. She knew I cried many a times because I didn't think that I would. But now I know the reason that I didn't is I wasn't ready. I needed to do some things. God needed me to do some things first so I could be ready. And now this is what I have with my husband is I couldn't have even imagined it for myself. I mean, I just couldn't even imagine it. Oh my gosh, I'm getting emotional. But I couldn't even imagine it for myself. So, and again, and all I think about is what I'm going to do for him, because again, I'll just give an example, and I'm gonna have to drop because somebody else is waiting. My husband, he said he's a simple man, and he meant that. But again, I saw that he needed some sweatpants because he was wearing the hell out of these sweatpants that was on their last leg. So when he came home this weekend, I had several sets of several sets of sweatsuits all ready for him when he got home. Several. I said, can we throw these away now?
I just wanted to share. Yeah, I just wanted to share one thing because that's very true. You see how you fit y'all fit each other broken places,
Yes.
and it's enjoyment to be that way. You see how look at you just light up when just regularly doing something to serve him. That's how it's supposed to look. This is the example right here, and it's beautiful. I just wanted to also say that in order to receive certain things, we always talk about God bringing certain thing to us. But a lot of times we have to be ready for it because the gift that he gives us, he doesn't want us to mess it up because we still have free will to mess up the thing that he's preparing us for. So we have to take our time and work what's going on inside of ourselves. Get prepared
Yes.
for that blessing. And then
Yes.
things will come out beautiful. But as
Yes.
always, I love you and thank you and continue to do this work out here. You heard me.
Love you too, hon.
All right.
Take care. Bye. Mr. Hale.
Ladies and gentlemen, the great TJ Randolph. How are you today?
I'm fine. How are you doing, sir?
Excellent. Well, listen, this is a fantastic topic. As you were talking, it made me think about something, and I want to ask a question.
Sure.
A lot of the individuals that I see who seem like they need this incessant amount of attention, I've noticed that, the picture taken every time you go somewhere. Look, I've been out to restaurants, and as soon as the food comes out, we can't even say grace, right? Because we got to take a picture about it. I want to ask you a question. Do you think that this has something to do with the generation before us, the disconnect when the family structure was broken in the levels of attention and care that we needed to get in that validation? Because we have a generation that did not get those. We don't know that subconsciously we are trying to get the attention and validation we never got at home. Do you think that that has something to do with why we're so infatuated with showing the world our moments? Because we didn't get that from our family structure. And so we're seeking the attention. And the other part to that is that because of that, we got brokenness. And so, to be honest with you, it's easier for you to look at my picture from a distance because of unresolved trauma and brokenness. If you got close to me, you might realize that I'm not this delicate portrait that I post like to my social media platforms. Do you think that that has any bearings on why we need so much attention and that everything? And I'm talking to my wife last night. And I said, we're in a world where we have more pictures on Facebook than we do in our homes. I grew up with pictures all over the wall, right?
I still do.
Right, on the desk and stuff. Do you think that that has something to do with that? We didn't get it at home, and so we're subconsciously seeking it in other places?
I think it is definitely a contributing factor. It may not be solely, but it is definitely a contributing factor because it astounds me that so many people are truly broken if people stop following them.
Indeed.
On these social media platforms. I'm like, who gives a damn?
Somebody who needs the attention.
Yes, but they are. It really shakes. And again, it boggles my mind because most of the time these people don't even know you.
Yeah.
But I think it is definitely a contributing factor. Yes.
Isn't that how it is in their household where they didn't know their dad? And a lot of times we live with our moms, but we didn't know. We didn't know our moms. A lot of our moms had to do the best that she could with the information that we had. And particularly if you grew up in the 80s and 70s, you saw families with 14, 15 kids. So there was no possible way that every child got the level of attention that they need. And so to me, when I see people doing that, for me, it looks like it's a cry for help. Because if you had real relationships, you wouldn't have to run online to get the information and attention from people you don't even know. So they
don't even know how to, and it goes back to what I was talking about too. People don't even have real conversations with each other. Looking them in the eyeball.
Because it's a scary thing. It's a scary thing, TJ. If I don't have the emotional awareness to know who I am, and then I've created this persona online and you see me for me, right? It becomes, I got to be vulnerable for that. And I don't have practice with being vulnerable. And I think that's where so many people are. And then you try to get in relationships. And for our generation, we're going to have to be patient with the people that we're in relationship with because there's a lot of damage. And a therapist alone can't fix it, right? We're going to have to love some of that away and be patient as well. And the other point that I wanted to make is just the emotional awareness. I think we're entering into a unique time where emotions, that word was attributed to most women, and men are becoming more emotionally aware now. And where there used to be an imbalance, it's almost scary now because now it's not just our women can see into the men, but men are now able to see as well. And sometimes when you got brokenness and ugliness, you don't want nobody to see that. And so I think that there's a level of fear. And I think that's why it's easier to take a picture than to look at somebody in the eye and have a conversation, because I can control what I post, but I can't control how you perceive. And that's a scary thing.
And that's what it goes back to also the live I did on Saturday when I was talking about Brittany Renner and this persona that she puts out. I don't know if it's true or not, but one of the ways that she's playing herself is that you don't realize how that's going to bite you later. And it may not bite you, but it might bite your child who has to defend you for all this craziness that you put out because you were seeking validation from other people. And now me as your child have to reap the consequences of that. And what kind of man that is about manhood will want to deal with that? So that's another way, playing yourself.
I can tell you somebody else that's broken. Like Brittany Renner is a broken woman. She's a beautiful, broken woman. And then what do you do with that? What do you do when you get attention because you're beautiful and everybody sees your beauty, but nobody sees your brokenness, right? That's why I don't go so hard and talk so much about her, because inside of that shell, there's still a person in there. And I see a person who there has to have been something in her life to seem that cold, because nobody is born that way, right?
Right.
A lot of women have brokenness hidden behind beauty. And because a lot of us don't like the emotional awareness to see past that. And you get paid off of being beautiful. So you get paid to be ratchet. It's easier to take the short-term cash and attention than to do the long-term work and think about what you want your life to look like in your 50s and 60s. And I think that people like that are going to have to find that. But we have to have the emotional awareness. That's why I haven't bashed her. I haven't done a video where I talk badly about her, because she is a person. And the truth is, probably people who are watching this broadcast know what that's like to be beautiful and to be fine and to have all that and to be able to hide behind that. No woman wants to have to be a broken person behind the beauty, and no one ever sees it, right?
Well, I talked about that also. Again, I said my life is not like hers, but in some ways it was, because in my younger years, I was very attractive and my body was, I was fine. I'm just going to say it.
You said in your younger years you was. Like, ladies and gentlemen, if I'm wrong, please let me know. I think TJ is still fine. Am I
I'm
wrong about this?
attractive now. I was fine then. I was fine then. But here's the thing. And then being in the military, I had to present this person, because again, I didn't want people to think I was weak because I was pretty. I had to go hard. But when you have this outward persona and you can't let anyone see it, who sees you break down, or who saw me break down behind closed doors was my daughter. Because again, when I step out into the world, I had to, put together, nothing bothered me. But when I got home, the brokenness, the broken pieces of me, my daughter saw that. So that's what I'm talking about. I get it. And not realizing that was also some way of playing myself, as far as the relationships that I kind of passed by too, because of this persona that I wouldn't let, get too close to know that that's not really me.
Well, TJ, I'll say this. I know you got more show, and I'll say this, but I'm grateful that you had to have that experience, because having the perspective you have, people gonna listen to you because you're pretty. Let's come on. Ain't nobody want to hear no broke down, right? So, but I'm grateful that you went through that, because you can reach people in a different way, because you're able to come from a perspective that a lot of people can't speak on. So thank you for doing that. I love your show. Thanks for having me on tonight. I love the topic. Talk to you soon.
Thank you. Joel in the middle. How you doing, sir? You're muted. I can't hear you, sweetheart. Hello? Okay, you gonna come back? Okay. Yes, honey. Yeah, that was a scary one. Yes, that was a scary one. And it was intended to be a grow you real experience, because we as mothers deal with stuff. And sometimes we didn't know how to deal with it. And in this young lady's case, she didn't get the help she needed. And she thought that there was no way out. Hello?
Hey.
There you are.
Yeah, I forgot to plug in my darn mic.
That helps. Okay, I can't hear you. Are you there?
Hold on. Is it still working?
Okay, got you now. Yes.
Okay. Hey, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I heard y'all talking about
Newlywed, right?
Yes.
Yes.
And actually, I got a story to tell, because I heard y'all talking about self-sabotage, and it almost sabotaged my marriage, or what would have
Listen
been
up, youngins.
my
Okay,
marriage.
I'm all ears. I'm all ears.
So it actually has to do with my current wife when we were back in college, and is actually what led me to the manosphere, because I was looking for information on why things happened the way they did back in college, because I was just like, I'll just dive into it. So I had met my current wife. We met in college, and like a lot of relationships, everything was great. There was absolutely nothing wrong. I literally, and some people might like hear this and be like, "Oh, I was simping." Like, no, I appreciated being as good a man as I possibly could. Like
Yes.
I was trying. So it's like, but of course I was still able to do what I was doing. It's not like I was putting everything I needed to do behind me. I was still doing what I needed to do, but at the same time, I made an effort to try to be the best boyfriend and potential husband I could be, right?
Mm-hmm.
So everything was going fine. Everything was great. And then I remember all of a sudden, out of nowhere, it's like a bunch of problems just arose out of nowhere. Like she would ask me stuff like, why are you with me? Or why are we, like, where is this, that kind of thing. And mind you, we're in college. Nothing wrong. Nothing was going wrong. Everything seemed to be going well. And then the problems started arising. There was even one situation where I figured out, she probably will kill me for telling this, but there was one situation where she would create problems so we could have makeup sex. So she would intentionally create arguments and stuff out of like the dumbest stuff just so we would have makeup. So there was a situation like that as well. And there was something that also happened after all that, where I literally had to break things off. Like I had to break up with her, because the disrespect and everything was getting a little bit too out of hand. But I looked back on the relationship, because eventually we got back together. But I looked back on the relationship and I was like, what the heck happened? Like, where did this go wrong? And then I was introduced to the concept of self-sabotage, where it's like someone can be in a nice situation or a good situation, and then all of a sudden, I guess they feel some type of way about themselves or their insecurities or whatever, and then they just start to create the problems themselves. And because I was like, I know I didn't create the problems, because I was still trying to figure it out. I was like, what the heck, what's going on here? But I thought that was interesting when you guys were bringing that up, because it made me really think about that situation when I was back in college, and how that self-sabotage is real. People will do that.
It's funny because you say that, and I'm saying you, but I'm speaking in general terms, and I can use myself as an example. We say we want certain things, but it's almost like we're afraid. We want success, but we're afraid of success. So we sabotage ourselves because we're afraid of the very thing we say we want. We're afraid of it because part of us wonders, and based on what you just said, part of us wonders if we're really worth what we say we want. Because by the fact you said that she asked you, why are you with me? That is classic. We say we want it. We're afraid of, but part of us, we say, I deserve this, but we really don't think we're worth it.
I'm not gonna lie. I guess you could say I kind of was Mr. Perfect. I dialed it back a bit just because, I didn't want to overwhelm her, but I was Mr. Perfect. I'm not even gonna lie about that. Like I was the go get your flowers stuff, the guy that did the random stuff. Like I would literally, like, of course I was in college. I was still on top of my grades and everything. I still worked my 3 jobs and everything. So I was doing everything I needed to do. It's just in my free time, I would have those moments where I'm like, what can I do to be even better man or a better boyfriend to her? So I would kind of overdo things. And then it got to the point where I guess she got a little insecure, and she was actually worried that I might leave her for someone better. That's what she got worried for. At least she told me that.
Yes, honey. That's it. Because I can be completely honest. I've grown a lot and I'm still growing. But I remember when me and my husband started dating, because I think I've shared that I had a really bad relationship. And even though I took some time off and got the therapy, I was still scared to trust myself. I was scared to trust myself because I'm like, I allowed this person in my life and I didn't pay attention to the red flags. But when we started to date and he would just do these nice things for me, and I was like, thank you so much. And he said, you're worth it. And it's like, and it just, a lot of times, I would just get teary-eyed because I knew I wanted it. And I believed that I was worth it. But part of me is like, am I worth it? So, and then when you get it, it's like, wow, because you can't believe you want it, but you can't believe it's really happened. And when it's so great, you're like, oh, it's not going to last forever. So let me screw it up. Let me screw it up because it's not going to last anyway. So let me go ahead and mess it up and save myself. Don't do it, ladies. Don't.
And imagine how confused I was as a young man. Now I was aware, that women are people. Like I was aware that all women weren't angels, but I picked her for a reason. She was much different than most. Like I said on Lapeef show, she was part of the minority. She was respectful, reasonable. She didn't have a social media presence, that kind of thing, at the time. I picked her for a reason. And mind you, as a young man, I'm thinking, okay, well, because mind you, I had heard all this buffoonery happening in others people's relationships, but at the same time, I knew the guys weren't perfect, and I knew the issues arose from somewhere. So when I said I made an effort to be Mr. Perfect, I did just that to get away from the buffoonery, to try to prevent it from happening. And I was confused when it happened anyway. So it's like, imagine me as a young man where I'm like, okay, I literally did everything I could to make sure I didn't mess up. Yet,
Right.
yet this is happening in my relationship.
It is tough, and I'm sure since you all have grown, she didn't know what she was doing either. Because again, I didn't. I didn't get the revelation until I was well in my 30s, and that's why I started this channel. Don't do what I did, ladies. Don't play yourself. Okay, she said, I have a question, Auntie. Did you grow up in a household where you were validated? No. And I say it to mean this. Okay, whoever this is. Because I was a latchkey kid. Mr. Hell knows what that is. I was a latchkey kid. My mom worked 2 to 3 jobs sometimes. So, me and my sister are very different. I was always the child that needed attention. My sister was not that way. I was always the child that was, performing in front of you because I wanted like, see me, love me. And my mom was just busy. She didn't have time to go to the honors programs, didn't have time to go to my, dance recitals and stuff like that. So, I knew she loved me, but I was the one that needed the extra affection. And my mom, who was raised by my grandfather, a man born in 1910, it wasn't a whole lot of affection shown, so, with my sister, she was very much the same kind of way, not really doing a lot of, not really overly affectionate where I really was. So I didn't get that. And so I did search for it in different places, and I did not really get it consistently from my father either. So there was a brokenness, and to be honest, there was a feeling of for many years of insecurity and inadequacy. And so that is why a lot of times I overworked and try to outdo everyone as far as, being for excelling, because I felt like I had to prove myself, because deep down inside, I didn't feel like I was good enough. I didn't. And it was funny because, everyone, a lot of people would talk about how pretty I was. And my mom even wrote me a letter one year, and it was in 1991. I still have the letter. And she talked about that that knowing that I was the child that needed more validation. And she said that she didn't want to do that because I was always told how pretty I was, and she did not want that to go to my head. So she didn't. So, but I needed that. So I think that was definitely part of it. And again, because of that needing validation. So even though we didn't have the social media, I was always, active on campus activities. I was in a sorority. I was president of this. I was this. So I always needed that kind of validation in ways. And then even when going into the military, I was the first to do this one. I was the first to do that one, doing things that a lot of people didn't do because I did need it. So to your point, and again, I don't begrudge her, but I know I didn't. And so, yeah. And so I can identify with your wife because, and I don't even think I got really the revelation or the understanding of it until later. Yeah. But congratulations, y'all worked through it. And she has her Mr. Perfect.
Yeah.
She has her Mr. Perfect. Yes, indeed. Now, how long y'all been married now?
It will be about not even a month yet, because it was the end of October, so it'll probably be a month come like November 25th.
So it will be your first Christmas as husband and wife.
Officially, yes.
Officially, yes, absolutely. Awesome. So, and then when you all start having little ones,
Oh, we already got one.
A girl or a boy?
Girl.
Okay, how old is she?
She is 2.
Okay, listen. I'm gonna tell you this, Joelle. Me and my daughter, we have this tradition, this holiday tradition that we started when she was 3 years old. Every year I take her to the Nutcracker Ballet for the holiday. Every year. Is she listening?
Oh no, it's going off it's bedtime.
Yeah, but every year, and I did that because we were in the military, so I wanted her to look forward to something no matter where we lived. We were always going to go see it no matter where we lived. And so we're going again on the 4th of December. So this will be our 24th year going to the Nutcracker. So Dad, y'all can start some holiday traditions with your baby girl.
I'll see what I don't know about the Nutcracker, but I might do something where, of course, in my household we always decorated the tree. So I know that's like a given. But on top of that, I might have to do something where like we make something together or something.
Yeah, a gingerbread house.
Because I do like to cook, so I was like maybe we like make a pie or something like that.
Yes. Well, congratulations. I think I'm gonna go ahead and go get ready for bed.
Same here.
But thank you for calling in, sir.
Well, thank you for having me. You have a good one,
Have
Miss
a good
TJ.
one. You too. Well, wow. Thank you all so much. This has been fun. Thank you all for everyone that called in. And shout out to where is he at? To John Capo, talking about that episode that we did, Mothers Are Dying for a Break. Yes, if you can, if you find that would be useful content to share with someone, a young mother or not so young mother, because again, postpartum depression is real. Motherhood, being overwhelmed is real. My daughter talked about even being married. You know, what she dealt with it took her a while to bond with my granddaughter. And these are real conversations. So if you all feel like it can help someone, please share my content. Also, I asked for my Christmas present from you guys. If you can help me get to 1,000 subscribers for Christmas, that will be my Christmas present. And I would greatly appreciate it. Now, as we get ready to go out, I am going to share one of my songs, because you know the song that I usually come in with that before I start my broadcast is my oldest nephew, Rhyan Spunk Adams, who's on the saxophone. So I decided to, I came in with Anita, and I'm going to go out with one of his other songs that he can be found on Apple Music or Spotify. This song is called The Shoreline. So I'm going to play this for all my jazz lovers. Yes, it's real. So if you haven't seen that, look at that. If you have a chance to look at that video, Mothers Are Dying for a Break, and share it with your wife, because again, we're being real here. And we're being real. So I am going to play this song, The Shoreline. My nephew, Rhyan Spunk Adams. Again, he has several pieces of music on Apple Music. Let me get it started. And we're heading out. Thank you all for coming by, stopping by. Appreciate it.